Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the InduSoft webinar series. Today, we are going to be presenting our webinar about. Today, we're going to be presenting our webinar about the food and beverage industry. Let me just go back and start all over again. Sorry. So, we're going to be presenting our webinar about the food and beverage industry. My name is Andre Bastos, and we're going to have our very special guest today. That's going to be Mr. Julio Delgado with Stock America. He's going to show us the benefits and everything that he was able to do, the challenges that he was able to overcome using Indosoft as part of his solution for Stock America. I'm going to start talking a little bit about Indosoft as a company. We were established in 1997. We were the very first one on the industry to have a complete package for the Microsoft Compact Embedded System. Was called Windows CE. When it first started, we had an HMI from CE Windows 1.0. So when it came out 2.1 and 3 and all this, we were always able to deliver a full complete package for any Windows operating system, including the compact versions. We were one of the very first ones to have a complete web solution on the HMI with XML integration as well. And we do have a patented tool for database connectivity, which means connecting your HMI to any relational databases, no matter which database that is, and no matter which operating system you are running your Indosoft project. So if you're running on embedded, if you're running on a PDA, if you're running on a server, you can connect and save all your alarms, your training information, your events directly to a database. Talk a little bit about the current certifications that we hold. We are Microsoft Gold partners for almost 10 years now. We are an ISO 9001 registered company. We do hold the ISO certification 9001. We are a member of the OPC Foundation from the very beginning, one of the very earlier adapters of OPC, and we've been certified also by Motorola and AT&T on their embedded devices on their phones. And we've been winning awards throughout the years. Frost & Sullivan, we just got I need to update here the Control Engineering 2010 Engineers Choice Awards. We've been getting that since 2010, so we got 10, 11, 12, and Frost & Sullivan 2010, 2007, and 2005. So we've been very consistently winning awards on the control and automation area. I want to discuss a little bit about our flagship product, InduSoft Web Studio, and the advantage that you can have on mainly today on the food and beverage industry. So we're starting talking about the one of the the biggest features that we have, which is your power of choice. You have just one product, which is InduSoft Web Studio, that you can develop your project and run it in all different Windows platform sizes. So that means you can use Web Studio to create a project that's going to run on a mobile device, Windows-based mobile device. That could be a Windows CE touchscreen panel. All these screenshots that you see here, they are from actual projects, okay? Not demo applications, not like this. They are from actual projects from customers that use Indosoft and InduSoft Web Studio. You can run on Windows CE, Windows C .NET, Windows Compact 7, and then you go to a more local interface or an operator workstation size. That could be a PC panel running Windows XP, Windows XP embedded, Windows 7, 7 embedded, all these platforms. And you use the same product. If you go all the way up to a more server-like system, to create OEE, KPI applications, MES running on Windows Server 2008 R2. We are already validating our product on the upcoming Windows Server 2012 as well as the Windows 8. So far everything's been running pretty good. So that gives you a very important thing that we point here, which is the hardware manufacturer independency. Okay, that means if by any chance you are running a project on the HMI manufacturer A and you want to change that to another manufacturer, you don't need to recreate your project. Since they're all running Windows Compact, Windows Embedded, or any Windows flavor, you can just move your project from the device A into the device B. You don't need to reconfigure everything, comparing to some other vendors that they have proprietary HMIs, proprietary programs, and if you want to move from a certain manufacturer to another one, you need to recreate your entire project using a second product. In our case, you can use Web Studio in most Windows CE platforms that you see out there, and of course all the other Windows as well. And how would you be deploying an InduSoft solution? So you can have several different options. What we are showing here, you would see, let's say down here on the bottom, you could have an InduSoft running on a server computer, running a big application, thousands of IOs, or having the same product running on smaller headless devices. We've got here some vendors that they do HMI and the PLC on the same devices. We've got here Beckhoff with their CX devices. We've got ICP-DAS with their WinCom. We got Advanced with their UNOS. Some headless devices down here, or that could be a PC panel, let's say Windows Embedded PC panel, or even a control room, several applications running at the same time. So this would be, let's say, the local runtimes. Okay, what if you want to remotely access the information from those runtimes? That again could be a headless device, a local HMI, or a server. You have the thin client solutions divided. We split here in three solutions. You can have web thin clients, where inside Internet Explorer you can see everything that's running on the application, and it's not a remote desktop solution. You're basically running a second instance of our viewer module inside the browser. So you can switch screens, you can change languages, you can load recipes, generate reports, independently of what is happening on the runtime where the server is running, or where those local headless devices are running as well. Or we have the secure viewer, which is actually a second instance of our viewer module that over the network is going to communicate to the server and give you the power of controlling your process from a remote station. You don't need to be on the server computer to execute everything. And we have also the mobile access solutions, where you can have any smartphone, any browser in the market having access to alarms, to training information, to widgets displaying and allowing you also to write values to the tags that you configure there. Now on version 7.1 we made it way more powerful. It runs under HTML5. I'm going to talk a little bit about that because I believe this can be very beneficial for the people at the food and beverage industry. So advancing here about some of the main features of Web Studio that can be used there in that specific industry. First of all, I would like to talk about the connectivity. How can you benefit from a product like InduSoft Web Studio? One of the major things is that it doesn't matter which device you're using as your controller of your system, of your machine, of your plant. Let's say that you use PLCs or use multi-loop controllers, and as long as this device they have a protocol that you can communicate with, you can use InduSoft and one of our built-in 200 communication drivers that are embedded on the product to communicate with those devices. Okay, so let's say that on your plant you use Allen Bradley, you use ControlLogix, or you use Slick 500, PLC 5, any of the Allen Bradley's flavors. we do have communication drivers built in the product for those. You don't need to pay any extra, you don't need to install anything. It's part of the product, okay? And the same way as we have for this example Allen Bradley, we do have for all the Siemens PLCs as well. So you may have this family 300, 400, or even the 200. We have both the serial solutions like PPI, MPI, and industrial Ethernet. And even for the newer PLC, the S7 1200, we can speak through Ethernet with that PLC. We have GE FANUC serial SNMP or SRTP for GE FANUC, you know, and all the Modbus flavors, including Modbus Plus. And so we have Modbus over TCP/IP, and some of the common industrial protocols. We did write drivers for some specific boards to speak Profibus, DeviceNet, ControlNet, things like that, and you know, native drivers for things like CodeSys or Backoff, you know, those type of PC-based control software. All right, so but let's say that on your solution, instead of the driver, you rather use OPC. And in that case, InduSoft also offers several different flavors of OPC. We have the OPC Classic on the DA specification, DA205, and the specification DA3, and also XML, OPC XML. But we are one of the first ones to have OPC UA client in all the platforms. So that means you can be an OPC UA client on Web Studio running on your PC, Windows 7, or on your Windows CE, okay, and supporting mainly on the PC all the security enhancements that came with OPC UA, encryption, certificate validation, all this type of things. And we are the very first one to have the OPC.NET 3.0 as well. We have an OPC client for that. So you have the drivers, you have the OPC, and we do offer open APIs. So if you want, you can write your own communication drivers, or you can write your own Windows application. Let's say using C#, using .NET, using VB.NET, one of those. But you want to have access to the InduSoft tags on your application. We do offer APIs for you to access that. Could be a DLL, could be an ActiveX, but you can exchange data with InduSoft runtimes using our open APIs for database tags database access. And also we have a driver toolkit that will allow you to write your own driver. As long as you can write code in C++, you can write your own communication driver as well. And connectivity to relational databases, we have our native solution with ADO, OLEDB, and you know, we still hold the legacy DDE protocols, and you can exchange data over XML and also ODBC, and you know, doesn't matter which database you're talking about, as long as you have an OLEDB provider, we will be talking to that database as well. And native TCP/IP communication between InduSoft stations, or we have the gateways to exchange data between InduSoft and other software vendors, let's say such as InTouch or iFix. We do have gateways to exchange data with those other packages, and we do offer also OPC DA server. So if you want to exchange data through OPC, we are also an OPC DA server, and we are on the process of getting our OPC UA server ready in the product as well. And everything you build, all your screens, they're all web ready, which means that you can open a browser. It's very simple to transform a standalone application on a web-based application where you can have thin client access to it in just, you know, a few seconds. It takes less than a minute. So talking about connectivity, on the version 7.1 that we just released, we do offer a new option called the tag integration for Allen Bradley ControlLogix PLC. So we when you configure the ControlLogix PLC programming using the RSLogix 5000, you can generate a L5K file, and we can integrate that L5K file into our tags database. And you know, that a very huge enhancement, because since that PLC is actually a PAC, a PAC, and you have to type the variable names, the tag names, things like that. With the tag integration, you don't need to type anymore. Just speak the tag that you want from the PLC. And talking a little bit about our database interface, again, we use OLEDB, we use ADO, and then we give you the power of the independency of which database you're going to connect to. If you start the project with, let's say, SQL Express, and then you move into MySQL, it's very simple on Web Studio to just point to a different database. And it doesn't matter in which system you're running. It could be a panel PC, embedded, or a server. We're gonna go through TCP/IP and access the database to store alarms, to store training information. If you think about the food beverage, it's about rastreability. So you need to be able to log all the events, everything that happens. Where are you going to log that? Usually you need to have a powerful database to do that, and you need to have redundancy on it. So we do have the redundancy built in on our solutions. So if you're going to record events, you're going to record alarms, anything that happened there, you can go to any database, and if the primary is down, we can go to the secondary, offering the option of full redundancy or storing forward options. And that's, in my opinion, one of the biggest features that you can use on the food and beverage industries. And we do have a very simple way to configure recipes in our recipe module, where basically you put the tags that you want to save their values and the recipe name, and the recipe that you're going to generate can be on XML format or plain text, which allows you to create recipes outside the Indosoft environment, and also connectivity to the database. So if you want to do that using a database to store the recipes, you can do something very similar. It's very simple to manage the recipes module for Indosoft, with one of the biggest advantages that it works also on the web thin clients, on the thin client, on the secure VR thin clients, on the thin clients. So you can have different recipes, or if you configure to do that, you can also have the same recipes, of course, being managed by remote thin clients and the local server project. Okay. Another enhancement that we brought on version 7.0, present on 7.1 as well, is the IP protection. So your project is also protected by password. All the files that you create, you can individually protect specific scripts, specific screens. We believe that's very important, because once you deploy your project to your customer, only who has the password, you'll be able to keep maintenance on that project. So if anyone tries to get your project and reuse that without your permission, unless they have the password, they will never be able to access those files, those scripts, those worksheets. So that's valid for every single document generated with InduSoft Web Studio. You can put password, individual passwords, if you want, to each one of them. And I would like also to talk about the features that Indosoft offer for Title 21, CFR Part 11. We'll talk about electronic records and electronic signatures, validations. In just, in a nutshell, talking a little bit about our security system, you can configure on Web Studio for groups. You're configuring the group, you can configure, you can see here on some of the screenshots, password size, number of special characters, numeric, alpha. You can configure a password aging that would force the user to change the password from after a certain number of days. And on every single command that or every single action that you can allow a user to perform, you can force him to enter electronic signature, but also configure electronic signature timeout. And for specific groups, you can disable the electronic signature. So if I'm logged as a maintenance guy, I will not need to enter my electronic signature for everything. And everything that happens here can be logged in our event logger, a built-in tool that we can save that either on a proprietary format that would be ASCII format, or could be binary formats, or we can easily connect this to any database. You're gonna put a table there and start logging all the events directly to the database. That will include the security system. So whenever a user logs on and off, or creates a new user is created, all this type of things. So these are some of the important things that will allow the user to create FDA compliant projects. Okay, you cannot say InduSoft Web Studio is FDA compliant. No, we give you the tool so you can build your project, and your project can be FDA compliant. Okay, and some of the enhancements that we did on the latest years related to the security system, we added the integration to Microsoft Active Directory, and also added through LDAP. So that means users and passwords can be managed by a central domain. You don't need to do that only HMI if you don't want to, and it's very simple. You have a project, you just point to the Active Directory server, and you configure the privilege on the application for the groups that were created on the Active Directory, and you're gonna be integrated with your company's domain as well. And we added the features to, for instance, to import and export the security system. If the let's say the LDAP server is down, we can cache the security system, so you can still log on, log off from your project. We added the possibility of associating the users to multiple different groups, and we added a new wizard to help you configure the security system on a very simple way. And the remote, or actually the distributed security system, that allows you to have a central security system. If you're using not the LDAP but our proprietary, if I may call that, security system, you can have one central station being, let's say, the security system server, and several other stations connecting to that, and creating users, changing password, everything. So it's the distributed security system concept. You can have a distributed server and several distributed security system clients out there connected to that same server. Okay, and let's talk a little bit about a typical architecture where you would have InduSoft Web Studio. That, you know, something similar to what I put on a previous slide. You would have, let's say, your PLC, your DCS system, your iOS communicating with a local HMI and storing the data on database. Doesn't matter which database you're talking about. And then, let's say, on the other side of your machine, you have only a viewer station, independent from like what happens on that screen. It doesn't matter what's happening on the local screen, but you're exchanging data, getting the PLC information from the secure viewer, and everything that you have here you can have access through web thin clients, SMA clients on your smartphone, on your iPhone, Android, iPad, information remotely from what's happening on this PLC down here. And as the cloud applications are getting more and more popular, you know, people have a real demand for that, you can configure your system with the proper security to go to a cloud-based server and have access to it from anywhere, virtually anywhere in the world. You know, we do have several real applications also on the food and beverage industries that are already cloud-based. We run the project on the cloud. Then you have people from different parts of the globe accessing that specific project. You know, doesn't matter where that project is exactly running. So once we are past that, I'd like just to mention a little bit about our newer SMA or mobile access feature that we added on 7.1 based on ADCML5. One of the biggest things about that, you can see some of the screenshots down here, is that now you can have also trending information. You already had alarm, but we enhanced a lot the alarm visualization, and you can visualize widgets with tag values, and those can be on an analog format or on a digital format, and it's very simple to configure that. And those windows, the thin client windows can be seen on any tablets, on any browser. So that means we can go on Androids, we can go on any of the Apple devices. We did a WebEx about a month ago or so showing the thin client solution. So we show the thin client from running on an Apple MacBook, so you can go on Androids, any of those. And the technology that we use for that is the ADCML5. You know, even Windows 8 is based on ADCML5, but we still offer the the legacy, if I may call that, thin client solution, the SMA, that would run to, let's say, less powerful browsers, where you can have a tabular view of your variables and your alarms, but you still can acknowledge alarms. You can enter comments for the alarms. You can see, you can enter values to variables if you want to. And those, let's say you have a cell phone that doesn't have Android, is not a iOS-based smartphone. You have a browser, you can still have access to all your process values right there. Okay, I'm gonna just present here the case study for the food and beverage that Stock America wrote with us, helped us writing, where they use InduSoft Web Studio as the basis for their solution, for their visualization and control product that they sell to their customers. And I'm going to have our very special guest, Mr. Julio Delgado from Stock America, talking about that solution. So if you guys give me just 1 second here, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Julio Delgado. All right, Mr. Delgado, you should be able to take it from now.
Good morning, guys. You guys see my desktop?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for having me here today. I'm going to present today a little about our application. First, I'm going to show you some background information, who we are. Then I'll show you our solution, some of the benefits, and some future plans that we have for the application. Well, here at Stock America, we are a full-service leading manufacturer and integrated for turnkey system in the sterilization and pasteurization systems. We partner with other companies to provide a full solution for the sterilization floor. That becomes the sterilizers or retorts or autoclaves, to the material handling system, to the loaders and unloaders. We've been in business since 1974. And again, we provide services for the entire shelf stable food industry, including the food, beverage, and pharmaceutical companies. And we have customers in multinational groups in the States and out of States. Some of the applications that our machines work will be on canned foods, on convenience meals, on the dairy and beverage, sauces, pouches. Again, like I mentioned, our equipment are batch sterilizers, continuous sterilizers, automatic material handling systems, our Icon RMS solution, and we also help our customers in submitting their process to the FDA for validations. Well, when we start looking at the HMI application, what we're going to use to standardize for our HMI, we put out different list of bullets what we were looking for in an application. We want an application that was stable, but it was proven in the market with a big installation base. We want to make sure that we had an application that uses open standards like VBA, OPC, ActiveX, HTML, ODBC compliance, connectivity to database, and that will be able to be scalable, meaning that we can have an application has a standalone system or having a client-server architecture. One of the benefits also of Indosoft is that I can develop an application that will be for a Windows CE device, and I can take that application and also run in a Windows 7 or a Windows XP or a Windows 2008 server. Another key point for our application was database connectivity. We want to make sure that we have the tools that we can integrate the information from the alarms, from the events, to our SQL Server database, so then we can retrieve the information for our batch reports, so we can present and the customer can keep those as records for the FDA. Also, we want to make sure that we have a strong alarm functionalities and features. We want to be able to look for a solution that we can tie our batch ID, our segment IDs, our faces into the alarm system, and also again export that information over to a SQL Server database. Again, being on the food and pharma industry, we need to make sure that we keep track of the user actions, that we keep track of the value changes. So again, we want to make sure that we have an application that we can trace those events. Also on security, we want to make sure that we can integrate our Icon RMS application or a database security structure to the application. And we are able to accomplish that with Indosoft, and I'll explain that in our application later on. We want to make sure that it's easy to deploy, that I can quickly just either copy a folder or make changes if I have to make a change during the deployment of the application while the system was running, so I can make a change and quickly push the changes over. Again, we were looking for an application that we can easily integrate to ours, which we call Icon RMS. And also we're looking for a solution that we can quickly, if we have an issue, call tech support, and they will be there to respond and help us anytime that we need to. And of course, being an OEM, we're looking for price, and you cannot beat the functionality that you get with Indosoft for the price. This slide here, I'd like to present our typical architecture. We have our Icon RMS application server that hosts running a Windows 2008 server, a SQL Server database. We have some OPC components that we use, a server that we use for our application, and it's also running as a web server. Down on the floor, we have each machine has its own POC. Sometimes, depending on application, will be an SLC or a compact logic with its own HMI application. We can have anywhere from 1 to 8 or 12 HMIs on the system. And again, we take the information from the POC, present it back to Indosoft, and some of the information gets transferred back to our SQL database for alarms and events. And we also expose or display the information from the recipes into the HMI application. Now up here, we have sometimes the quality people or managers be able to access the application from their desk. So they use their secure client or the HTML. Also, since our application, Icon RMS, is a web-based application, users can access the application via their web browser from their client stations, down on the floor, or from their offices. And of course, again, if they have a VPN connection, they can come in and be able to access the application either through the WebPing client for the HMI or a secure client viewer. So that's typically our architecture for our systems. I'm going to quickly show a couple of screenshots of the application. So again, we have different machines, different configurations, so you see different layouts of the application. So this is one of them. Here we show the alarm history, some PID templates that we use, trending, and our Icon RMS application, again, is the application where we manage the recipes of the system, where we have our recipe reports, where we have our batch reports, where we log the information from Indosoft or from the transaction manager into SQL Server to be able to present that information. A lot of the information is also exportable to PDF or Excel files. And again, this is some screenshots of the Icon RMS, where we can see on the home page real-time information from the reports, what batch they're running, what recipe, process values. They can get a trend from the system that show the temperature, pressures, and each phase of the system. They can search again for batch reports. They can get trends on PDF formats. Alarm information comes from Indosoft. We present it to the user in a PDF format. Again, we export that information into SQL Server. And the cool thing about the way we implemented with Indosoft is that we can embed the batch ID on the alarm message, the segment ID, the phase. We can show the duration of the alarm, the process values and the limits, and who was the user that was there. We can use the priority of the alarm to highlight it differently. Again, we can do this because again we can embed different tag names into the alarm message, and then we can parse it out when we present the information to the user. The user can access this information, this application from their HMI, so they can download the recipes that are hosted on SQL Server down to the PLC. I'm quickly going to try to switch over monitors. So bear here with me for a second so I can switch out my monitor. And be able to show the application. I'm running the application right now on a virtual machine. Can you guys see the second monitor?
Yes.
Have you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So this is typical application. We like the way that Indosoft allows us to have a multi-form. So this navigation bar here is one graphic. The header is a different graphic. We got the left pane here. We got the footer. We got the body of the application, and we can easily do that with layout. Makes it easy to present the information. On the overview, again, we have the overview of the machine where we're using indirect tags. We can have one common graphic. For example, device control. I can just click on a valve and be able to open one pop-up that is common to all the vehicle devices by using indirect tags. Again, that simplifies the development of the application. You can see the tooltips. You can have tooltips on the touch control, and you can embed a variable, not just hard-coded, so I can dynamically change that value if I need to. The same with the analog values. We have here the option that if I click on the valve, I have one graphic that I develop, and I use indirect tags with classes and structures, so I can organize my PID information. And again, so I click here on the steam, but if I go back to the vent, again, it's the same graphic. I just pass different parameters to the graphics, simplifying the application. Instead of having, in this case, 4 different graphics, I only have one graphic, and I just pass the variable. The same with the devices. Again, I open this pop-up here, it's the same graphic. I just pass what tag I'm going to be talking to. Also, we like the way we can present the animations on the graphics. We can show here how many baskets they have in the retort, or manually allow the user to include how many baskets they have on the retort. You can easily import JPEGs, bitmaps, files into the application. Some features that I like is the transparency, because I can just cut the section that I want to animate, and then they will change color. So this background information that is blue, I can actually hide and just lay out the object that is running. It will be green, and it will be almost transparent, the transition of the colors to the user. Another nice feature is that you can format the fields the way you want it, like at the time here. Instead of having multiple numeric displays, the string displays to show this, so I can just one display and just format the value the way I want it. Very powerful database connectivity. Like this left navigation here, I can use the embedded grid control in Indosoft and point it out to our SQL Server database and be able to pull out the recipe from a grid for that particular step. So the user will be able to see what's the recipe parameters that they're running, and this, when they run the application, will highlight green which one, what phase or step they're running. And again, these objects here, I made them a symbol, so I can just generate one generic object and just bind properties that will be step 1, step 2, so we have the 16 step. So one object, I just pass what step number it is and what phase. This will be looking to display the phase information, and it'll be easy to again to manage that. And again, we're using a built-in grid control where you can write your SQL statement and make a database connection, be able to create information the way you want it to present. On the alarm information, I mentioned very powerful. You can embed on your message different values, batch ID, segment ID, and then we use that information again to send it out to the SQL Server and be able to parse it and bind it to our reports, and be able to show what segment, what batch ID we will set up. You can set up the option to allow the user to attach a comment for the alarm, and again that gets logged into the database. So that's a very powerful feature of the system. The other option on the trending, we can have real-time information. That the nice thing is that I can only enable it when the batch is running, so we don't have a batch running, so I don't see any values here on the trend. The historical information is also a very powerful feature that I can actually load up a history and display that information from the file and be able to export that data if I want to a CSV file. And I can quickly see if I can open that file here. So I just grab that information, export it to a text file, and there it is. And I can easily, someone can take a look at this information, analyze it if they need to. Another great feature is like this page up here as an OEM, we have different I/O configuration, different machine, different requirements. We typically use a 32 input card or a 32 output card module. So all this description I can actually create them on a text file, and then when the application starts, I can load up the description to memory tags on the system, and then it will be bind over, so it will change. And again, we deploy a text file with every single project, and again, when the application loads up, it will just auto-populate the description of the tags, or the inputs in that case. So through Indosoft, I have access to all the properties of all the tags, so I can change them dynamically. Again, we can present the analog information to the user, the analog output. Also, we have an overview of the PID loop instructions, so the user can also change the PID settings. Again, the nice thing is in Indosoft, we have the option to have structures or classes with arrays. So we have different PID tuning for different phases on the system. So then I can create just one class with all the PID parameters, and then create an array of that class, and then depending on what phase I select is what PID loop I'm going to be writing to, based on an index, based on the phase ID. So again, I can use one generic function, just passing indirectly the index of the array and populate the information. Another nice thing is, again, because of the use of open standards, we can have an ActiveX control of the web browser display on the Indosoft application, and the user can access our Icon RMS application where they can view trends, they can view recipes. Here, one of the trends, can click on the trend, be able to load that information coming from the SQL Server database into the application. And again, I run this on my laptop, on a virtual machine running also out of my laptop, so I may be a little bit slow in that case. Let's continue. I don't know why it did not help me, because I just connected to the to interface here. The next option here that I'll show is that since I know what recipe I'm running, I can automatically pull up the batch report for the application, or the recipe report for the application. So the user can get a PDF report of the recipe. Also, the user can get the current batch report. We get a batch ID here, and we automatically create a URL and load the batch report to the user. Again, all this information, some of the information here is logged by the transaction manual, like the steps, and the other information is logged by Indosoft, like the alarm information again. And with that, we bind the batch ID, so that's how I can correlate the recipe or the alarm information to this batch ID, because I can be able to embed that on the alarm message, also with the segment and phase, and I get the description, the priority, process value, the alarm duration, and what user was logged into the system. Again, we get the user actions, also from a combination of transaction manager and also Indosoft. Again, all the information is quickly available to the user. And again, everything is running within Indosoft, just hosting and activist control in the application. Something also nice about Indosoft is that I can dynamically change what PLC I'm talking to. So in some cases we have 8, 12 different machines on the system, same application, so I can just build one app, I deploy it, and I can come here and just change the IP address, what PLC I'm talking to, and then quickly redirect that application to that PLC or that machine. Also, again, a lot of places on the Indosoft application you can actually embed a variable or a tag. In this case, all the information are tags, linked to tags, so I just embed the URL so I can have different servers now for the application. Also, all the database connectivity, I can actually tell it what IP address database is at. Also, I can embed here what database name it is, and it all stuff change dynamically to the application, so I don't have to worry about making all the changes when I deploy systems, because I can dynamically update them here from this screen very easily. I'll also update my web settings if I'm using the web thing client on the Indosoft application. Another nice feature about the Indosoft is the way we have a form-based or a SQL database application user ID that we use for the Icon RMS. And because of the features of Indosoft, I can actually dynamically create the users into the Indosoft application and attach them to groups in the application. So we have one central common database of users that are used in our Icon RMS application and is used also on the HMI application. So again, all these users here, I did not create them on the application per se when I was working on the application. They're not coming from the Windows, they're coming from a SQL Server database application user list. And again, I dynamically create them when the application loads, or when I click refresh, it will auto-populate or update passwords on the systems. So again, that's very powerful to have one central common database of users for our applications, because it will track users that works on the Icon RMS application that also works on the HMI application, so one central database of users. Some of the future plans we would like to develop on the applications is use more the new features of the HTML5 on the application, be able to embed in our Icon RMS application the screens from the InduSoft Web Studio, so we have again one central application, the Icon RMS, and be able to pull info from Indosoft HMI into our application to the new HTML5 web clients. Also, in our applications, we would like to integrate email and pagers alerts. We have done it. Another system integration application that we have done with Indosoft, where we actually email and send text messages to users based on alarms. So we also would like to integrate that as part of our application. Also, I would like to be able to create a new HMI screen that allows users to put comments regarding the batch that will be logged back into SQL Server and be able to display in our batch report system. So you can put any comments regarding the process that is running. I think that will be very powerful for our application. I think this is all that I have on the application. Hopefully I did cover, did not forget any of the features, options that we use on the system. So let me see if I can hand it back over to...
You just need to stop sharing. There you go. All right. So this was very impressive, Julio. I really appreciate all the time you put on it, and it's very impressive the project that you guys created, how you are using the features that Indosoft offer, how you're using it really well. I believe that this can give you for the audience an idea of how powerful Indosoft can be. He communicates with two different PLCs from Allen Bradley. It can be the Slate, can be the PLC 5, and there's some OPC involved on it, and he hosts web pages inside Indosoft screens through ActiveX, and access the database using our patented database connectivity, use the grid to access the database, use the security system coming from the SQL Server. So those are very nice features that Julio is using really well with Stock America in creating the Icon product, or integrating with their Icon RMS product. And we're gonna go now for the questions and answer section. So if you guys want to send your questions, you probably will have there the icon for the Q&A, and depending on the questions, gonna be either me or Julio that's going to answer. Let me check here also the chat. So if you guys have questions, or you can send on the Q&A panel, and gonna be either me or Julio was going to go and answer those questions. So please feel free to do that. I still didn't get any. I don't know if you have got any questions so far, Julio. Yep, we got a question here asking if the Icon RMS is a separate program. For what I see, yes. And you want to talk more about that, Julio?
Yes, the Icon RMS is our recipe management system. It's a separate program. It's an ASP.NET application that we developed here in-house that integrates with SQL Server. It also uses a OPC.NET client that allows us to download the recipes to the PLCs. Again, we use it to develop the recipes, download the recipes, manage the report system, information that we get from the Indosoft application, information that we get from the transaction manager. From Indosoft we get the alarms and events. From the transaction manager we get all the phase changes of the system during the process. So we present again the information in a PDF. We present the trend data also in a PDF format, will allow a user to actually export information over to Excel or PDF for the raw data. And again, it hosts the central database for all the users for the Icon RMS and for the HMI.
Thank you, Julio. Still didn't get any other questions so far?
No.
Okay, let's give it another minute or so. Okay. All right. It looks like we don't have any other questions. And so I want to show this slide here, how you can contact InduSoft. We have our 3 offices spread out in 3 different continents. We got the headquarters here in Austin, Texas, and you can call us at our toll-free number 877-InduSoft or 512-349-0334. And we have our offices also in Brazil and in Germany. We are showing here our emails, our different websites, and the phone numbers to access any of our different offices. If you have questions, if you want to learn more about the product, if you want to download a trial version of Indosoft. You can download, install it on your PC, and run for up to 40 hours of continuous use, and you will have access to all the features, all the drivers, everything. So please feel free to download and experiment with Indosoft if you're interested in learning more about the product. And a big thank you for each one of you that attended to this web meeting. This meeting was recorded. We're gonna have it in our website shortly. All of our webinars, they are available in our website. You can watch it, you can download the presentation as well, the PowerPoint presentation, and we'll be doing that again today at 3 p.m. Central daylight saving time here in the United States. It's gonna be 2 p.m. on the 3 p.m. on the Eastern Coast. And wish you guys a very good day for the ones that still have a day ahead. Very good night for the ones on the time zone that is already night. And please keep attending to our webinars. We have a lot coming on. Keep in touch, check our website, read our newsletter, and if you have questions, you want to learn more about the product, please do not hesitate in contacting us. Okay, thank you all for your attendance, and hope to talk to you guys again pretty soon. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.